So guys, let's quickly begin with the next important topic, that is soils. Whenever we talk about soils, it should be clear to you that we are actually talking about different layers of soil which is usually present. That is, we call it as horizons. The meaning of horizons is usually soil is present in layers. So let us try to understand it with the help of the picture. So whenever we actually talk about any rock structure, first you have a solid parent rock present. Due to sun rays, due to high temperature, due to rainfall, due to glaciers, due to wind, usually this will be broken into larger particles. Correct? From where did you get this? This is obtained from the parent material. This is called as horizon C. And then this will further break into smaller ones. I call it horizon B. And then I have smaller ones present, where water, humus and other things are present, and usually plants grow in this region. So I call it horizon A. Can you see horizon A, horizon B, horizon C? Right? Horizon A, organic material is present, it is good for plants growth. Horizon B, it is in between horizon A and horizon C, so it has properties of both horizon A and horizon B. We call it as a transition layer. Then you have horizon C, it is basically made of the parent rock. And then you have the parent rock itself. These are the four important things that you always try to read whenever we come across soils. So, here we try to observe first important thing, horizon A is the topmost zone which has organic materials have got incorporated in this, and water and nutrients are present for the growth of plants. Then you have horizon B, which is transition between horizon A and C and contains matter derived from both above and below. And then you have horizon C, which is directly obtained from the parent material. This is what we try to observe. After this, we need to understand the classification of soils. Whenever we talk about classification of soils, different people classify soils differently. Now first, when we take the case of Urvara and Usara. In olden days, it used to be called as Urvara and Usara. Urvara means fertile. Usara means sterile. That is, it is not beneficial for the growth. And then on the basis of the size, it is divided into sandy, bigger particles, silty, smaller one, clayey, very small, loam, it is mixture. So, bigger is sandy, silty in between, clayey, very small. And then you have loam, which is a mixture of all this, right? On the basis of color, it is differentiated into red, yellow and black, right? So let us see this in detail. According to international thing, inceptisols, alluvial soil is majorly present in India. If you can remember that, it is more than enough. So only second thing you read, entisols is also present, right? Apart from this, in the Indian name, we call it alluvial soils. Inceptisols is called as alluvial soils. Where do you usually find alluvial soils? It's very simple. Wherever rivers flow, they usually try to move on the mountains, they erode the mountains, carry some rocks or minute particles with them, and they are deposited. First you have boulders, babbar, then you have terai, and then you have bangar, that is old alluvial, and then you have kaddar, that is new alluvial, right? Babbar, terai, bangar, kaddar, and if salt is present in this, we call it kankar. Usually Ganga plain, Brahmaputra plain, we observe some sort of alluvial soil being present. Rivers, Mahanadi Delta, Kaveri Delta, Godavari Delta, Krishna Delta, some parts of Narmada, Tapi is also associated with the alluvial soil. and this has different sizes in different parts of the country. So they usually form 40%, and when we are talking about the alluvial soil, I have given these names. What is more important? It is rich in potash but poor in phosphorus. So we have to apply phosphorus to alluvial soil, and then we need to read about the loamy and clayey soil, which is usually present in the Ganga plain and the Brahmaputra plain. What is more important for us is, in the map we need to try to identify how does alluvial soil look. This is how the alluvial soil is present. So first I told you Brahmaputra, it is there. Can you see Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra? In all this region you will find. And also, can you see the east coast where the deltas are being formed? This is what we need to consider when it comes to alluvial soil. The next important thing that we observe is black soil. It is believed that Maharashtra, northern part of Karnataka, and when we talk about Gujarat, see this, I'll just explain you. Maharashtra, northern part of Karnataka, Telangana, some parts of Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, right? And Gujarat, we usually find black soil because here basalt lava actually flew. Granite is usually like this. So if granite rock is disintegrated, big boulders is usually found. But basalt is very small. So usually if it breaks, small particles are coming. And basalt is easy to break also. So usually if you have parent rock, usually for 1 to 2 kilometers you will have black soil. Basalt is also black in color. Black soil is usually present. And it is very small. As it is very small, it does not allow water to percolate more. Water doesn't go inside more. And it is very difficult for evaporation of water as well, as it absorbs less water and also it emits less water or loses less water. The advantage of this is that even in dry conditions, they can grow crops in this particular region, right? This is the most important thing that we need to see. Where all you can see Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and some parts of Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, remember, it is not there because of basalt, but it is there because of extreme climatic conditions. And then you should also know that it is good for cotton. It is also called as rigor soil, or it is good for cotton. The reason for this is cotton is usually grown in those regions where it has less water is enough. But the second important thing is the rainfall should not happen much. If rainfall happens, the biggest problem is the fiber content which is there in the cotton will be moist and the fiber doesn't come out. This is not beneficial for us. So we always look at those areas where soil can actually hold moisture, so no additional rainfall is actually required. Usually when you consider United States of America, you have Appalachian mountains and black soil or cotton is grown in the leeward side because winds blow like this. We have Western Ghats and this is the region where winds blow less and they give less rainfall, and usually we observe black soil or cotton being grown in this region. And then you also have to understand the property of black soil, that is when you add liquid it swells, but whenever it is dry usually cracks are developed. As it develops cracks, it is easy to plow during that time. We call it self-plowing, right? It's very, very important for us to look at this. Black soils are rich in lime, iron, magnesia and alumina, but they lack phosphorus. You have seen alluvial soil has phosphorus, but it lacks potash, and this has all other things, but do not contain phosphorus. See guys, today we are actually talking about soil testing or soil labs across the country. At this point, at least you should have some basic common sense that in black soil, phosphorus will not be there. You will not have phosphorus in black also, right? This is very, very important. And then we have red and yellow soil. Please try to remember, wherever you have iron ore, Whenever iron ore rusts, usually you get yellow or red color. On the basis of this, we usually identify red soils. So, usually the southern part of Deccan Plateau where iron ore is present more, you have red soil. Along the Piedmont zone of the Western Ghats, that is near the mountains, long stretch of area is occupied by red loamy soil. It is a mixture of everything. Yellow and red soils are found in Odisha, Chhattisgarh, where lot of iron ore is present. The soil develops a reddish color due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. It looks yellow when it occurs in hydrated form, that is when water is added, it becomes yellow. The fine grained red and yellow soils are normally fertile and their sizes vary, whereas coarse grained soils found in dry upland are usually less in or poor in fertility. So, if it is fine grain, fertility, coarse grain, fertile is not seen. They are generally poor in nitrogen, phosphorus and humus. Can you see, in almost all our soils, phosphorus is absent. Then we need to look at the laterite soil. Later means brick. The laterite soil develops in regions of high temperature and high rainfall. These are the result of intense leaching which takes place in the tropical rain forests. With rain, lime and silica are leached away and soils become rich in iron oxide and aluminium compound which are left behind. Humus content of the soil is removed fast by the bacteria that thrive in the high temperature. The soils are poor in organic matter, nitrogen, phosphate and calcium. We are actually talking about the rainforest where you are seeing that because of heavy rainfall, usually lime and silica are removed, iron oxide and aluminium is left, even humus content is removed. Whenever humus content is removed, the fertility is being removed and it is not good for any cultivation much. This is the reason shifting cultivation usually occurs in this part. Red laterite soils is found in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala, and this is very good for crops like cashew. One of the most important thing is when you add water, it becomes liquefied, become very easy and smooth. When it becomes hard like brick. That is why it is called as brick soil. Right? What did I say? I just told you when you add water to it and mix, it becomes clayey liquid. But when you heat it, when the moisture is removed completely, it becomes hard like a brick. This is what we try to see. Laterite soils are present in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh and hilly regions of Odisha and Assam a lot. Right? This is very, very important. And then arid soils. Wherever you have deserts, what happens if there is water? The soil is loose. So, water goes down. And whenever high temperature is there, the water comes up again. Whenever the water comes, the water carries the salt particles and the salt particles will be usually deposited and the water is evaporated. This actually makes the soil to be less fertile. See, they are generally sandy in structure and saline in nature. Sandy, particle size is more. Saline in nature because salt is usually getting accumulated once evaporation of water takes place. In some areas, the salt content is so high that common salt is obtained by evaporating the saline water. Due to the dry climate, high temperature and accelerated evaporation, they lack moisture and humus. Nitrogen is insufficient and the phosphate content is normal. Only in arid some sort of phosphate is usually seen. Conker means salt layers is usually there. Where do you see it? Usually you observe in Rajasthan and Gujarat, but the best part of this is with the help of water, whenever water is available, you can flush it out. That is, you can remove the salt content and you can actually use the land normally. This is the reason why in Rajasthan, Indira Gandhi canal from Sutlej is usually used for cultivation. Right? This is very, very important for us. Then we talk completely about saline soils. We call usara, that is, it is not beneficial at all, especially wherever the sea water enters, tides enter or waves enter onto the land. Gujarat was once inside sea, so salinity of the soil is more. Remember guys, salinity in arid region is different, salinity in this normal soils is different. In Gujarat, in mangroves, wherever Sundarbans mangroves grow, you know that the fresh water and the salt water comes together, there the salinity is more and clogging usually takes place. And here excessive irrigation is required, but still because of high temperature being present, even though water goes, again the water comes up and the salinity will be settling down. Usually Run of Kutch is the region where you find this. Then you have peaty soil. They are usually found in heavy rainfall and high humidity. See guys, whenever you have a tree and if this falls down and sedimentation takes place on this, usually you get peat. Please try to remember that first you get trees, peat, second stage, then you get tree, peat, lignite, bituminous and anthracite, right? Can you see here where there is good growth of vegetation? Large quantity of dead organic matter accumulates in these areas and they have rich humus content. PT means peat, where you have more carbon content associated with the plants. Organic matter may be up to 40 to 50%. This is what you need to understand. These soils normally heavy and black in color. They are found in Bihar, southern parts of Uttaranchal and coastal areas of West Bengal, Odisha and Tamil Nadu. Please try to see this carefully once. Wherever you have forests, especially on the mountains, you find forest soils. In mountain environment, they are usually seen. Arunachal Pradesh, Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir, usually you find this forest type of soil. At last, you are all aware of soil degradation mainly because of lack of fertility, use of pesticides, high rainfall, high temperature. You have multiple reasons which actually lead to soil degradation. Wherever there is heavy rainfall, it removes the soil along with it, and because of this, soil erosion also takes place. So always a balance has to be made, that is soil production and soil removal has to be together. Even human beings, through grazing and improper usage or removing of forests, and whenever we consider mountains, when you actually construct roads and other things in an improper way, usually that also leads to some sort of erosion. So we have to be careful about the erosion of the soil. Whenever river flows or whenever rainfall happens, have you seen something of this sort on the land? This is called as gullies. That is, water flows, rainfall occurs, it weakens the soil and it takes the soil along with it. These are called as gullies. And soil conservation techniques is properly explained in earlier classes itself. No need to worry much about that here. That is, we spoke about counter-bunding, counter-terracing, regulated forestry, controlled grazing, cover cropping, mixed farming, crop rotation. All this is usually used. We have seen this counter-bunding, counter-terracing, the pictures and all clearly. That is important for us. Nothing else to see with respect to this. Fine. So let's quickly move to the next chapter where we focus on disasters and what measures needs to be taken with respect to that.